Welcome back to this channel. Today we are going to make a simple jacket, a crop top jacket. The length can be exactly at your waist or a little bit below your waist or as you desire. So I'm making use of these pieces of fabric here. Here is the base. So I'm making use of a net width of 3.5 inches and a net depth of 1 inch. That is for the back. And a net depth of 3 inches for the front. My shoulder divided by 2 is 7 inches plus half inch. That is 7.5. Then I go down by 1 inch. Connect to my neck width like this. Then from here, I'll take my armhole measurements, divide by 2, and I have 7.5. Okay. So the length of my waist is 16.5. and I'll be adding 2 inches extra for I need it to be a little bit longer, and for the sewing allowance. So I have 18.5 here. So at the armhole here, we'll take our bust measurement, divide by 4, and my bust divided by 4 is 9.5. This is 9.5. Then I divide my armhole by 2, 3.75. Here is the armhole for the back. Here's the armhole for the back. So for the front armhole, I'll go in by 0.5 inch. I'll connect this way. So here is my front armhole, then this one is my back armhole. So I'll be adding 1 inch for ease because I don't need it to be tight. It's a free jacket. 1 inch for ease and 1 inch for sewing allowance. So my waist divided by 4 is 7.5. Then 1 inch for ease and 1 inch for sewing allowance. That is 2 inches. Then take it to my armhole. I'll be cutting out the back first, then remove one piece and cut out the front. I'll be slashing the center front. You know the jacket is open at the front, so I'll slash the center front. Okay, So our back and front is ready. I'm going to use this piece to cut out the lining. Here is the back. So at the center front here, I want to give it a little fitting at the back so that it will not be too open around the waist. So here is the waist. So I'll go in by half an inch and connect it in a slanty way, just the way we used to remove our zip bulge for the back. So I'll be sewing it like this. If you like, you can cut out, but I'll sew it like this in a slant, just like the darts. Okay, I've cut out my lining for the front and back. To cut out the sleeve, this fabric won't be enough for long sleeve, so I'll make use of the length I have here. That should be 3/4 sleeve. My armhole divided by 2, I use 8 inches for sleeve. I normally use 8 inches for sleeve plus 1 inch sewing allowance, that is 9 inches. Then for my cap height, I use 3.5 inches, but you can make use of 4. Then from there, I'll take a slant line to meet the end here. Divide the slanted line into 2. I have 10 inches, so divide by 2 is 5 inches. Here is my 5 inches. Then from the midpoint here, where I just marked my 5 inches, I'll go up by half inch, and take a curve to meet this point. Take a curve like this. This is my curve ruler. This my French curve is not giving me the curve I want, so I'll have to make use of my free hand. Then from there, I also go down by half inch. Then I make a curve this way. I hope you understood what I did here. Okay, so if I use my normal short sleeve, that is 10-inch length, the roundness is 11 inches. That is 5.5. 11 divided by 2 plus 1 inch sewing allowance. Then my full length, my 3/4 length is 16 inches plus 1 inch for sewing allowance, and you measure the roundness of where your sleeve stops. And I have 10 inches, so 10 inches divided by 2, I have 5 inches here plus 1 inch sewing allowance. So for my armhole, I'm going to take the measurement again since I made a curve here. So my armhole divided by 2 is 8 inches, so I need to be sure. So this is where my 8 inches stopped, plus 1 inch sewing allowance, and I have this. So I'm going to connect. So here is what I have. I'm going to cut out and also cut out the lining. If you want to make a reversible jacket, that lining you are supposed to cut out should be another fabric. I'll be joining the lining on its own. I'll be joining it separately from the fabric. So I'll join the lining, then join the fabrics together. This is my lining. So here is the right part of the lining, here is the right side. So I'm going to be joining the shoulders. I'll bring the center front to the center back, join the shoulders, and do the same for this, join the shoulders. Then here is my fabric, here is the right side. I'll do the same thing, join the shoulders with 1/2 inch and join the other shoulder with 1/2 inch. There are so many ways of sewing a knit finishing, so I want to use this method and I hope you are following. After joining the shoulders, so here is the right side of the fabric. I'll place the lining, the right side facing the right side. Then I'll arrange them. So I'll sew my center front and my neckline. So you can pin. From my center front, I'll sew with 1/2 inch. My lining is inside, remember. Then from there, I'll sew my neckline with 1/2 inch. So I'm going to follow this 1/2 inch, sew the neck and come down again. For the sleeve, I'm going to be using 1/2 inch to close up the sides. I've sewn the sides of the sleeve, both the main fabric and the lining. To attach this sleeve to our main bodies, what I'm going to do is to separate the lining, from the main fabric. So here is the lining sleeve, here is the lining armhole, and here is the main fabric armhole. We are going to attach the lining sleeve to the lining and the main fabric sleeve to the main fabric armhole. So I'll do this for the other side too. So you just have to sew. Here is the wrong side, so make sure when you are sewing, you are placing it in a uniform way. I'll do the same thing to the other armhole. I hope this is not too complicated. It's very simple. I've finished sewing the sleeve, the main fabric and the lining. Like I said before, I sewed them separately. This is my own version of knit finishing. So now I'll be turning it. First, I'll put my hand on the main fabric, then bring out from there. I'll bring out my lining. Do the same thing for this side. I hope this method is simple. This is the method I normally use if I want a really neat finishing. So, see the inside, nothing is showing. Nothing is showing. Are you seeing? So, I've not ironed. So to sew the down part, we are going to turn it over like this. The right side facing the right side. we'll flip it and sew. I'm going to sew and stop at the midpoint here, somewhere here. I'll sew and stop here, then sew from the other end and stop here. This is where we'll be turning it over again. So I'll sew with 1/2 inch, stop here, sew here from 1/2 inch and stop here. I've sewn the hem and I left an opening at the middle here, so I'm going to turn it over again. Remember, when turning it over, you take your main fabric sleeve, then you put your lining inside and bring out. You do the same thing for the other side. You arrange them very well, so you iron. For the part that is still open here, so I'm going to fold it inside, 1/2 inch inside, and also the lining 1/2 inch. Then I'll use my hemming gum, place it in between the fabric and the lining, and iron. And iron. This iron is not plugged. I'm just showing you what you will do. And iron. After ironing, iron the rest part of the jacket. Iron everywhere to be straight. Then after that, we'll close up the hem for the sleeve. I've ironed my jacket. This is where we fix our hemming gum, as you can see. Very neat. So for the sleeve, make sure your two sleeves are equal. If one is longer than the other, you trim the longer one. So I'm going to do the same thing we did for the hem here. So I'm going to fold it 1/2 inch of the lining inside and do the same for the main fabric in. Then my hemming gum will be in between the lining and the fabric, just the way we did for the hem. This is the back of my jacket. This is the back. See how neat it looks.